Hello and welcome to Cleveland Classic Cinema. Tonight's movie is 1962's Hand of Death, directed by Gene Nelson.
This is the story of an experiment that backfired.
I'll get them out. No, don't touch him.
The first thing we must do, Alex, is notify the authorities and get you to a hospital.
No!
What should we do? What can we do?
I don't know. We just can't call the police and have them shuttling an animal.
Alex, it's been 5 hours since you injected that second area. My God.
Dr. Ramsey? Alex?
Operator, answer. For God's sake, answer.
A strange and chilling climax.
Don't shoot him, please. Alex, don't run anymore. Please.
Once again, we stretch the definition of the word classic way past the breaking point with this movie. I didn't expect much before I saw this, and I was correct not to. The first thing I saw about this movie was a still in Ed Naha's book, Horror from Screen to Scream. As I recall, it was a still of John Agar in full monster makeup standing near a parking meter, and it was captioned, "John Agar fumbles for a dime in Hand of Death." I have to admit that the photograph intrigued me. The mask was kind of nasty looking, and the gloves he had on were fairly ghastly, so I set about finding a copy of the movie to view. To my dismay, there were no copies to be found for viewing, and even worse, it was rumored that this was a lost film. Unfortunately, those rumors were untrue. I sat down to watch Hand of Death not expecting very much, and I got even less than that. The story concerns scientist Alex Marsh, who is researching the use of chemical weapons in the hopes of making the A-bomb obsolete. The movie begins with some hicks stopping at the desert laboratory of our nominal hero and immediately collapsing. He's brought inside by two guys in hazmat suits and revived. It turns out that he was only temporarily paralyzed by the gas, but Alex is elated that they now have proof that it works on humans. Up to this point, they'd only tested it on sheep, which is why the aforementioned hicks stopped at the lab. He'd seen the sheep strewn around on the ground and felt the need to investigate. Unmindful of the questionable ethics concerning inadvertently testing their nerve gas on a human, Alex is determined to mix some kind of psychotropic drug with the gas to turn whoever it's used on into hypnotized, compliant zombies to make occupation for an invading force easier. He alludes to the idea that his goals are loftier than they appear, but judging from his later behavior, helping all mankind isn't exactly his first priority. Now, I've seen a lot of movies featuring mad scientists, and I can honestly say that this one doesn't have a mad scientist. The character of Alex is not being insane. He's just a jerk. He's thoughtless, selfish, cowardly, careless, and refuses to listen to reason. It's actually kind of a departure for John Agar, as he usually portrays a regular type guy scientist or by-the-book military man. The real problem, I think, lies with the script and the pathetic lack of direction. Everyone in this movie either over or underacts their parts. Tom, for instance, is supposed to be a lovable, charming, rogue-type scientist, but he overplays it so much that instead of being charming, he's just annoying. Dr. Ramsey is hammier than an Easter meal, and why the hell he gets out of his wheelchair and drapes himself over the now monstrous Alex when he knows that just touching the ladder's hand will kill him instantly is completely beyond my pall. Carol, Alex's fiance, basically just walks around looking worried, although how she could possibly be in love with such a self-centered idiot like Alex is impossible to understand. I could understand easily enough why she kept blowing Tom off, because the guy comes off about as real as a $20 Rolex. When Alex turns into a monster, however, Tom cuts the charming act and steps up to help his friend, which is a good feature of the script, and about the only one I can think of. As for the insane amount of overacting in this movie, I can only blame the director. I mean, as you'll see in the bios, the actors in this film made many others, so they had to be capable of giving a good performance. As this was the first film for director Gene Nelson, I can only assume that he was either cowed by his actors' previous experience and didn't feel the confidence to stand up to them and tell them to pull back a bit. And I've seen that happen on more than one project in my time. Or he actually told them to overdo the emoting. I don't know which happened, but I'm leaning towards the second explanation. If it was just one or two of them overacting, I'd say okay, he didn't tell them to pull back. But when everybody in the movie is overacting, then I'm thinking an inexperienced director. There's one other thing that bothers me about this movie, and this is a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it, stick your fingers in your ears and go la 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 for a second or two. Alex, once he's out and about, kills a gas station attendant played by Joe Besser. Joe Besser, for God's sake. You never kill a kid, a dog, or Joe Besser. Okay, spoiler's over. Take your fingers out of your ears. The makeup in the film, if you can call it that, as it seems to consist only of a mask, gloves, and padding, is fairly creepy. It looks like Alex's head is sculpted out of coal, and it does get across how painful a transformation is. But while his whole body seems to swell up, whatever happens to him never gets as far as his feet, which gives the whole thing kind of an out-of-balance look. But I'm nitpicking now. On to the bios. Paula Raymond was born Paula Ramona Wright on November 23, 1924, in San Francisco, California. She studied music, dance, and opera as a child and made her film debut at the age of 14 in 1938's Keep Smiling, and went on to appear in 86 movies and TV shows over the course of her career, appearing mostly on television after 1952. In 1962, after she made tonight's film, she was involved in a horrendous car crash on August 20th and nearly killed. The car flipped 6 times and her nose was completely severed by the rearview mirror. She was pulled from the wreck moments before the car exploded, and after extensive plastic surgery, she regained her beauty and returned to acting. In 1990, she began work on her autobiography, I Wasn't Born Right, Where Did I Go Wrong, or The Misadventures of a Dumb Dame. Her last film was 1994's Mind Twister. Paula Raymond died from respiratory ailments on December 31, 2003 in West Hollywood, Los Angeles, California. Stephen Dunn was born Francis Dunn on January 13, 1918 in Northampton, Massachusetts. A perennial second lead, he appeared in 64 movies and TV shows over the course of his career, finding his greatest success in radio. After graduating high school, he decided to study drama and journalism at the University of Alabama, landing a job as a DJ for a nearby radio station. After graduation, he moved into full-time announcing work at station WOR in New York City. His first film was 1945's Junior Miss, and from there his career went steadily, if not spectacularly. In spite of appearing in both film and television shows, he still found steady work in radio, working in such radio shows as Danger Dr. Danfield and Richard Diamond, Private Eye. He appeared in numerous TV shows, including Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Private Secretary, Petticoat Junction, Batman, and many others. His last film role was as a supporting bit in 1973's Superdad. Stephen Dunn died of an undisclosed ailment on September 2, 1977 in Los Angeles, California. Joe Besser was born on August 12, 1907 in St. Louis, Missouri. He began his career as a singer on the vaudeville circuit and made his first appearance on film in the 1938 short Cuckoo Rancho. Despite appearing in 106 movies and TV shows, he never really achieved true stardom. Most of his roles were small secondary characters, but he always gave good value. He's probably best remembered for stepping into the Three Stooges after Shemp Howard died of a heart attack in his role as the little kid Stinky on the Abbott and Costello show. Besser always had a slightly fey, childish way about him, and used it to good advantage, especially in the Three Stooges comedies he appeared in. I remember him being one of my favorite Stooges, especially when he do that, "you crazy you" bit, or I don't do it as well as he did. Besser was an odd addition to the Stooges, as he was by nature a gentle man, and his humor was based more on character than slapstick, but he managed to hold his own. When the Stooges went on the road after their contract with Columbia was dropped, Moe asked Joe if he'd like to come along, but Besser deferred as his wife was very ill and he wanted to stay home to take care of her. Moe understood, and he was replaced by Joe DeRita. Joe Besser died on March 1st, 1988 in North Hollywood, Los Angeles, California. I should mention that the little boy who isn't almost killed by Alex is in fact Butch Patrick, who later became famous as Eddie Munster. All told, there's not much to say about The Hand of Death. It's one of the hundreds, if not thousands, of bottom-of-the-bill fillers ground out like Link sausages during the 50s. I do like the scene where Agar is having fever dreams due to the gas he's accidentally ingested, where the superimposed images of beakers and test tubes are spinning around in his head, but that's about it. Now, before we get started, I need to say something here. I recently had a rather disastrous experience with my internet and lost all of my passwords, so I had to open a new email account for Cleveland Classics Cinema. The new email address is clevelandclassics22@hotmail.com. Please write to me and let me know you're still watching, because I'm like at a loss here. As this movie is only about 53 minutes in length, stick around afterwards for a couple of shorts. So right now, sit back, relax, and enjoy Hand of Death right here on Cleveland Classics Cinema.